A battle is coming for the site of the ISIS apocalypse. SkyWatchTV News for Monday, July 27th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. Turkey has announced plans to create an Islamic State-free zone inside northern Syria. Now, this zone would be about 40 miles deep and run along a 68-mile stretch of the border between Turkey and Syria. This area, interestingly, includes the town of Dabiq, northeast of Aleppo, which is where the Islamic State believes, according to a hadith or commentary on the Quran, there will be a climatic battle between the forces of Islam and the Romans, Christians. At this battle, a third of the Islamic soldiers would run away, never to be forgiven. A third would fall in the battle to be glorious martyrs, and the remaining third would be victorious and then go on to Constantinople, presumably to reestablish the caliphate. Now, it remains to be seen how intensely the Islamic State will fight to hold this ground once Turkey begins its move. And I also wonder if ISIS has just been used as a cat's paw by the government of Turkey's President Erdogan. He wants to reestablish a caliphate as well, and we know that the government of Turkey has been supplying ISIS with weapons in secret. The Shia government of Syria's President Bashar al-Assad is an obstacle to the reestablishment of the caliphate, whether you're the Islamic State or the government of Turkey. Interestingly, also, this government, or this safe zone, borders on the territory governed by the Kurds. And Turkey, as I mentioned last week, has a very strong interest in wanting to prevent the establishment of an independent Kurdish state on its border. In fact, while the Turkish Air Force has been launching airstrikes against Islamic State targets inside Syria, it has also been striking targets in Kurdish territory in northern Iraq. Meanwhile, Israel admits that it's been supporting rebels inside Syria. They've been offering medical assistance to Syrian rebels fighting against the government of Bashar al-Assad on the Syrian side of the border with the Golan Heights. Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon said the assistance comes with two conditions. First of all, they can't be too close to the Israeli border. And secondly, they have to leave the Druze population in Syria alone. Now, the Druze are a religion that is it combines elements of Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Pythagoreanism, Neoplatonism, Ismailism, which is a subset of Shia Islam. But there is a significant Druze population in northern Israel, and they have some political clout. So the Israelis would like to protect their relatives across the border in Syria. The question raised when you look at Israeli support for Syrian rebels is whether any Islamic rebel group, jihadist group, ever keeps its guns turned in the direction that you want. For example, I turn you to the Taliban or to the Islamic State, both groups creations of Western intelligence who have gone rogue. We may be approaching the day, just looking at the political situation in and around Syria, where fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy of Damascus becoming a ruinous heap, Isaiah 17:1, looks more and more like a near-term fulfillment. Speaking of Israel, Jonathan Pollard is to be released by the United States government. Pollard is a former U.S. Navy intelligence officer who was convicted in 1985 and sentenced to life in prison for passing hundreds of classified documents to Israel. Apparently, the Obama administration trying to smooth things over with the government of Benjamin Netanyahu after the signing of the Iranian nuclear deal. Orthodox Jews in Israel are calling for the immediate construction of the third temple on the Temple Mount. Over the weekend, Tisha B'Av, which lasted from sundown Saturday to sundown last night, an annual day of fasting and mourning the destruction of the first and second temples. On Saturday night, thousands marched around the walls of the old city of Jerusalem, calling for enforcement of Israeli sovereignty on the Temple Mount. This to rectify the sins of the 10 spies who were sent into the land of Canaan by Moses, the 10 who came back with a bad report. You might remember from Numbers chapter 13 that 10 of the 12, the two exceptions being Caleb and Joshua, said that while the land flowed with milk and honey and it took 2 men to carry a bunch of grapes, the Israelites would never displace the people in the land because the Anakim lived there, the Anakim, descendants of the Nephilim, the giants of Genesis chapter 6. Well, on Friday, the Palestinian Authority called on Muslims around the world to use whatever means necessary to prevent the extremist settlers from ascending to the Temple Mount. And not surprisingly, this led to a bit of a confrontation with Jerusalem police, who had to break through barricades in order to pull some rock throwers out of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Dome of the Rock. Elsewhere in the world, China going back into the tank. The rally on the Chinese stock exchanges that we reported on a couple of weeks ago, prompted by government intervention in the markets, have apparently fizzled. The stocks are down more than about 8% today. That's the biggest drop in 8 years on the Shanghai exchange. The Shanghai Composite had dropped 30% before the Chinese government intervened. That wiped out about $4 trillion of paper wealth for investors. On July 8th, the Chinese government stepped in and allowed 1,400 companies, more than 1,400, to stop trading altogether. They also threatened to arrest traders who were short selling on the market, which apparently instilled some short-term confidence. This while China launches another investment bank. We told you recently about the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, launched with over 50 other nations. They held a signing ceremony for the new bank in Beijing a couple of weeks ago. The new bank will be based in Shanghai, is dedicated to the emerging economies of the BRICS nations. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The BRICS nations represent about 40% of the world's population. Russia and China especially see the BRICS Bank as an alternative to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, both of which are dominated by the United States. The BRICS Bank should begin operations either later this year or early next. The Satanic Temple, once again proving its ability to get into the news, and we're guilty because we're talking about them now, unveiled its statue of Baphomet over the weekend in Detroit. They hope to make it the largest satanic gathering ever, but protests forced them to have their unveiling ceremony in secret. They hope to eventually install this statue on the grounds of the Arkansas State House, where a privately funded monument to the Ten Commandments currently sits. We shouldn't be surprised, though. We are in the midst, apparently, of the great falling away. We talk with Bible prophecy expert Terry James, who's got a new book called The Antichrist Chronicles that will air on the Christian Television Network Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. Central Time, on DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117, and of course it streams live to the internet at the Christian Television Network's website, ctnonline.com. Now, if you can't watch it live, you can watch it later in the week. We will have it posted to our official YouTube channel, and you'll see the address here on your screen. And of course, it will also be at our official SkyWatchTV Roku channel. If you have a Roku account and a Roku box on your television set, log on to your account and search the channel store for SkyWatchTV, or log on to skywatchtv.com/Roku for instructions on adding it to your account. This month's issue of Skywatch Magazine, a lot of food for thought, mind-expanding articles, edification from Doug Overmeyer, Doug Krieger, Doug Woodward, Josh Peck, who is preparing a new book about possible dangers posed by the research at the Large Hadron Collider, CERN, in Switzerland. Sharon Gilbert beginning a new series called Icon, Engineering a New God. The online magazine, available for you to read on your PC or mobile device, is available for free. Just look for the link to the free magazine at skywatchtv.com. Comments, questions, suggestions? We take them all. Send them to me, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.